What's up, everybody? I am back. Another video on ancient Egypt. It's been a while. I was doing some social videos, making social commentaries on recent events, and I just needed to get away from that stuff. It was making me very angry. So I decided to go back to my roots, as they say. Back to where I started with this channel. My exploration of ancient Egypt. So today's video, I know how it starts, but I don't know how it ends. Let's get into it.
Well, for the most part, they were priests. The priests were the learned men. The priests were the ones who could read and write. That was how you made your way up through the bureaucracy. You first became a scribe, then a priest. So generally, the physicians come from the temples. We know this because of their titles. Very often we'll have a title, so-and-so was a physician of the temple of Sekhmet. So-and-so was a physician of the temple of Isis. So we know that physicians were associated with temples, and those temples were dedicated to very specific gods. There were really three gods who were sort of almost like the patron gods of the physicians. And let me tell you about them. If you know a little bit about the mythology, it makes sense why some of them were patrons of medicine. But one is a curious one. Most of the priests who were physicians, most of these physician priests, they're called wabu. Wab is simply the word for a priest. It's an interesting word, by the way. It means to purify. Wab. And it's a hieroglyph that's kind of neat. It has a jar, and water's pouring out of it, and there's a little foot under it. And that means to purify. Water coming out of a jar, you purify with water. Now, if you want to say priest, you put a little man behind it. Because a man who purifies is a priest. Right? So.
Okay. So when I heard this portion of the video, of the audio book, I'm thinking, why does it sound familiar? He just said a jar of water pouring out. And when it comes to priests, the symbol is a man pouring out a jar of water. Look, y'all. A lot of y'all go to these colleges, you get into these fraternities, these Greek fraternities. Do y'all even realize that the Greeks borrowed heavily from Egypt? It's like what Malcolm X was saying. You got the wolf and you got the fox. You got some group of people that are going to sweet talk you into finessing you into giving up what's yours, and then you got some people that's just going to straight up take it. They ain't no chaser. They just taking your stuff and dare you to try to take it back. We got to stop forgiving people for treating us wrong like we deserved it. Technically, we do deserve it because we didn't stick up for ourselves. Could you please give us our stuff back? That belonged to my mama. My mama gave me that. My grandma left me that. It's not yours. And if we're going to be a bunch of sissies, we don't deserve to get our stuff back. And then when we went about our business to rebuild everything we lost, they came in and destroyed it. The enemy came in and destroyed it. And what did we do? Oh, well, I guess. But yeah, that defeatist attitude, your children seeing that. And what do the children do when they grow up? They don't see no way to win, so they go work for the enemy. They go and work for the enemy. And then they say, Well, black people don't have anything because they don't work hard enough. No, black people don't have anything because they're tired of working their butt off and then having it destroyed by some evil ass, ignorant, selfish, hating ass people. And then they turn our own people against us. Well, they got that nice car and that house because they think they better than you. You ain't gotta take that from them. You need to bring them down to earth. You know what you should do? You should take that. Take what they got. Make them feel your pain. No, it's not your brother, your sister, that's your enemy. It's the fool that you listening to that's telling you to take what your brother and sister didn't work hard to build. You could do it too. Why don't you ask them how they did it? And instead of getting mad because they went to school and got a good job, get your ass up, go to school, get a good job. You want an even better job? Go to college. Or you know what? You could invent something. Invent something that's going to be profitable to society. And instead of selling out, keep it in the family. Oh man, I can get $1 million for this. I'll be paid. Then you sell it to somebody else and they making $5 million off of it. They making so much money, their kids are straight, their grandkids are straight. Meanwhile, after you done blew that through that $1 million, you struggling. Your kids struggling. It ain't right. I know how this particular section of the audiobook, I listened to some of it. I know how it starts, but I can't tell you how it ends because I don't know. I didn't get that far. So, we're going to call this the Dawn of Aquarius, the medicine man.
Most of these physicians were Wabu, which is the plural of Wab. They were priests of Sekhmet. Now, it's curious that Sekhmet is a goddess associated with priests. She is a lioness. She is usually shown in statues.
Now, Sekhmet, yeah, I've heard about Sekhmet. She is a lioness. So how in the world is a lioness transformed into... How is a woman deity transformed into a male deity? And then by the time he gets to the Greeks, it's called Aquarius. She's called Aquarius. They rebranded her. But yeah, the water pouring out of the jar with the man holding that was ancient Egyptian for a priest, a healer, a medicine man. And that's what I'm talking about. How is it that in our culture we create something to benefit us, somebody else sees it, they take it and rebrand it and turn it into something else, or they keep it almost true to what we intended it to be, but they give us no credit for it. As I'm going through this series, I found a lot of stuff in ancient Egypt that is the most beautiful, laid out, intelligent works of art, works of science that has ever been created. But modern man, in their greed, has taken it, rebranded it, and passed it off as theirs If that's not appropriate, if that's not cultural appropriation, I don't know what is. But let's continue.
As a woman with the head of a lioness, right? So she's fierce. And there's a myth that talks about her really being fierce. This is why I'm thinking that it's unusual that she's associated with healing and nice things. The myth is called the destruction of mankind. And according to this myth, the god Re, the sun god, was getting old. Right? His bones were silver, is what it says. His bones were silver. And mankind wasn't listening to Re. And Re really got ticked off. Did not like the idea that mankind wasn't listening to him. And at one point, he's thinking about wiping out all of mankind. Not unlike a story in the Old Testament, when the flood comes, right?
Right.
Anyway, much of mankind is destroyed, but Re kind of relents. But what he's done is he's told Sekhmet, he said, you're pretty fierce, you will be my eye, you go to Earth and destroy mankind. But he relents. But the problem is they can't turn Sekhmet off. She's ready to destroy mankind. So Re has his assistants make up a mixture of ochre, you know, the red mineral ochre, which is used as a dye, and they mix it with beer. So it looks like blood. And they've got a lot of the earth covered with this beer and ochre, which looks like blood. And they send Sekhmet down and say, that's the blood of mankind. And she was really happy about that. And she says, I'm going to drink the blood of mankind. And she drinks it, becomes drunk, and forgets about destroying the rest of mankind. So mankind is saved because Sekhmet gets drunk. But that's why it's kind of curious that Sekhmet is one of the chief patron gods of physicians. Another god associated with the physicians is Thoth. And this one makes more sense. Now, Thoth is usually shown as an ibis. He is a man, has the body of a man, but the head of an ibis, the long-beaked bird. Thoth is an important god for a lot of reasons.
Okay, this is a short video. We will dive into this. Like I said, I don't know how this ends, so I'll make a second part and make another video for this section so we can finish that out. It's starting to get interesting. I noticed that in ancient Egypt we have a lot of animal representations, and some people might think of it as being pagan, but this is what they saw: the manifestation of God's power on earth. No man can create these things. You can create something similar to it, but you can't create what nature has already done. You know, you just can't. I've never seen it. So guys, that's all for today's short video. I'll be back with more. Chat with you later.